60K in 60 days. What's up, Stallions? This is William Leffingwell, better known as the Poker Cowboy, here to talk about the 60-day 60K challenge week 1. It was a great week. The first week was filled with ups and downs, and let's take you right to the action. Day 1. Here at 101, there's 2 good games of PLO. The problem is that everyone's trying to get on this one game. I'm trying to convince them to start a bigger game so I can get all the donkeys like... We got some people up here. Let's look. Anyway, if I can get them to start the bigger game, we're going to have quite a game. It's going to have a great lineup, but it is going to break one of the other smaller games if we get the bigger game going, but let's hope we do it.
I would end up playing a 6-hour session in which I bought in $2,540 and ended the day with $6,255. The games around town that charge for time and also charge for food, you'll notice my buy-ins will usually be a little different because I will be adding on money or paying directly out of my pocket for food or time. So that's why the buy-ins will be like a $2,540 rather than a $2,500 even. I'm getting a lot of stuff done today, so getting here late night, playing a late night session. Good thing is PLO is always good in Houston, so we're gonna get the 4-card game in now. Try to win a few thousand, go home, get some sleep. One of the reasons the action is so good in Houston, Texas is because every dealer change, we do a double board bomb pot. Today I'm going to feature a bomb pot from day 2 of the challenge in which I got ace-ace double suited hearts and clubs. I ended up flopping the second nut straight on the top board with the deuce 4, and on the bottom board I still have the overpair with aces. I decided to bet here and try to narrow the field down to 2 or 3 players maximum. I would end up getting 2 callers, so the 3 of us would see the turn. The top turn would not be a good one for me. It paired the 5, which gave a full house on the board and even quads. On the bottom board, it put the 7 of clubs, which put us straight, but it also gave me the nut flush draw. Neither one of them had a lot of money. So I just wasn't going to ever fold this hand, decided to put both of them all in at that point. And they both called. I got really excited when the bottom board hit the nut flush in the river, and unfortunately I dropped my phone and the recording stopped there. But luckily, my top board I was able to hold with the bottom straight, and the bottom board nut flush was able to scoop the pot. When I turned over my hand, one of the players instantly mucked. The other player decided to turn over his hand and show me the 7, 8, 9, which was a huge hand from the flop in the turn. To beat my hand on the top, he would have needed to hit a 4, a 7, an 8, or a 9 that wasn't a club. Fortunately, I had all the clubs blocked, so there was a lot of his outs right there. But on the bottom board, he turned the nut straight. He also flopped a mini wrap with the 7, 8, 9 on the 10-jack board. So he had a big hand from the flop. He turned the nuts on one board. It was very unfortunate for him that I picked up the nut flush draw on that board and ended up getting lucky in the river. I wouldn't stay at this table too much longer as I was waiting to get on a more action table that was at the table next to me. This would end up being a terrible table change for me, and not only did I lose the $1,000 that I just won in that bomb pot, I lost an additional $7,170 at that table, which brought me to a terrible start after day 2 of negative $3,300 in the 60K 60-day challenge. Day 3, I decided to play at my favorite place to play in Houston, the garage. I ran into one hand that could set the tone for this entire 60-day 60K. It ended up being over a 12K pot, and it was an action board with 2 action hands. The best thing about the garage is the action players that co-play there. When I arrived, one of my favorite players wasn't there, so I decided to send him a text asking where he was at and when he was going to come play with me now that I'm back from Vegas. Well, I didn't have to wait long. A few hours later, he showed up about 11:30 at night, and that's when the action really started. He sat down and immediately we had some action hands. I was able to double up through him a few times to put myself at $9,000 winner for the night. I wish I could have locked up that $9,000 win at that moment in the night, but unfortunately, I can't just hit and run an action player. They would never want to play with me again. So I decided to keep playing and would end up running into this huge hand just before 4 a.m. and it was one for the ages. The game we play at the garage is a 1-3 PLO game with a $10 straddle. This lineup here I definitely had to adapt my game to. Normally at some of the public places I'm one of the more action players at the table,
But with the lineup I had in front of me, I wasn't even close to the top 4 action players. So when I raise a big hand, I'm very rarely gonna get 3 or 4 bet because they know most of the time I'm gonna have a huge hand that they don't want to draw against. I look down at what we call a huge hand. I have ace queen, ace jack, double suited, spades and hearts. Flops are very rarely seen for $10 at the garage, so I know someone's gonna open for 50. I wait until the open is for 50 and it gets around to me and I flat call the 50. The reason I flat called the 50 was to set up the player to my left so he would 3-bet it again. He ends up 3-betting to 200 and it gets back to the action player who's able to 4-bet to 600. I got them right where I want them. I decide not to call the 600. I decided to raise it up to 2100 and get it heads up with me and the action player. It folds around to him and he puts the 2100 up and we see the flop. The flop would come king of hearts, 5 of spades, 8 of spades, which is a decent flop for me, giving me an overpair with a nut flush draw. It would also be a good flop for my nemesis, who flopped the nuts with top set of kings. The 10 of hearts on the turn gave me a 50-50 coin flip with 1 card to go. We had over 12,000 in the middle and decided that we were both action players that wanted to go one time and for one of us to scoop that big pot in the middle. I've played a lot of big hands with this guy and we always decided to go once no matter how big the pot is. So we decided to go one time and the river brought the 8 of clubs, giving him top boat, kings full of 8s, and giving me 0% of the 12K pot out there, leaving me only winning 3K on the session. Luckily, I would play for a few more hours after this and recover and end up cashing out with a 6K win. So I made up for most of the 7K loss the day before, and I'm right back on pace for the 60-day, 60K challenge.
All right, we changed. We're back for a second session, 101, right down the street. So, gotta get it in. Got to get these hours in, 60K, 60 days. Starts with 2 days. Just like the old basketball days, 2 days. Taking another break. Day 4 of the challenge. And second session today. I told you we're being like basketball days. I'm putting in 2 days. 13600 this morning. Currently in this night game, I'm up a little over 4,000. So pretty decent day. We're about to get moved to a bigger game. We're next on the list on a must-move game. So probably gonna stay here and play an all-nighter. 60K in 60 days. All right, well, second session of the day is in the books. As you can see, it's already light outside. Decided to play a little longer tonight than usual. Did good, ended up winning 7,200 on the night, 3,600 in the first session today. So total for today of 10,800. Friday nights have always been one of my best nights just because it's the first day of the weekend. A lot of people like to play poker. So I decided, we're doing 60 days, 60,000. Better put in some good Fridays, some good Saturdays. So I like to take Sundays off usually, but lately my garage game has been really good on Sundays. So I've been playing Sundays as well. Been trying to take like Mondays off, Tuesdays off, maybe Monday, Tuesday. But during this challenge, probably going to put more hours in and make sure we hit our goal, because I don't set goals to come up short. We set them to make them. So 60 days, 60K, stay tuned.
Day 4, I decided to return back to 101 Richmond and reclaim the $7,000 I lost a few days earlier. I played a morning session and a night session and ended up playing till about 8 in the morning on the night session. But between those 2 sessions, I had a daily profit of almost $11,000. On day 5, I decided to go out to Katy, Texas and play a little bit out there. My first session out there, I decided to play at Ace City with my good friend Fireman Scott. Unfortunately, I got there a little late and the session was winding down and I only got to play for the last hour. I ended up winning $330 and decided to go to one of the greatest rooms in Houston, 101 Poker Room in Katy, Texas. I always love coming out to Katy, Texas and playing at 101 Katy, and mainly to see 2 of my good friends, Pete and Tatiana, who are expecting a baby boy coming in October. Congratulations to the 2 of them. Unfortunately, my trip to Katy wouldn't be successful and I would end up losing $2,160 at 101, and I called it an early night. I didn't go broke, I just
didn't win a hand, and ended up cashing out $840 of my $3,000 buy-in. Day 6 was essentially a day off for me. I drove to go play at the garage, but I ended up showing up a little late and got placed on the second table. The second table would end up breaking about an hour after I got there. Luckily, I was first up for the main game, but I waited 2 hours and would never get that seat. I decided to go home with my $100 profit from the second table. That will not do anything towards the 60-day 60K challenge. Day 7, I decided to return to 101 Richmond, which I would end up playing a couple different sessions. I started out playing a 1-3 Congress 5-card game. I lost $1,600 on the first hand. I played about 2 or 3 more hands, won back $500, and decided this wasn't the game for me. Instead, I decided to play a 5-5 PLO game heads up with one of my good friends, Paul. We played for about 6 hours, had a few people join in and out, and I think the max we got was 4-handed the whole time. Unfortunately, I lost another $1,325 in that session. After that session, I was down $2,425 on the day, and I did not want to go home a loser. I decided to jump in a 1-3 PLO game and played for another 4 hours and cashed out winner of $1,790. I still saw a loss on the day, but I was glad I was able to recover most of what I lost in the previous 2 sessions. So here's the breakdown after 7 full days of the 60-day 60K challenge. In week 1, I ended up playing 48 hours and 58 minutes. It's a lot longer than I normally would put in a week, but I was eager to start this challenge, so I just wanted to put a lot of hours in. I had an average of $222.79 an hour, which gave me a total of $10,910 for the week. Our average to stay on our 60K 60 days would be $7,000 for the week. So we ended up $3,910 over our average going into week 2. I ended up playing the majority of those hours at 101 Richmond, 34 to be exact. I ended up playing another 10 hours at the garage, 1 hour at Ace City, and another 2 hours at 101 Poker Room in Katy.
What's up, Stallions? I want to thank all y'all for tuning in and watching the 60-day 60K week 1 update. I'm also going to be giving a special giveaway for all the Stallions out there. If you comment on this video after sharing it, I will enter you into a drawing to win a free 5% of my action in the $400 Labor Day tournament out in San Antonio at Rounders Card Club. It has a $250K guarantee, which means that your 5% could be worth a few $1,000s at the end of the tournament. I've already won 1 tournament there and I plan on winning this one, so get on board and come get some of this free money.